How are you? Welcome to More Than Mortgage. I'm Chad Anderson. That guy is Zach Jones. This is our 43rd episode, and I don't have anything that goes with the number 43, Zach, but I think we're just going to simply talk about real estate scams. And this one happens all the freaking time. And we've beat up on a lot of topics, and recently we've been more involved with, I would say, current events. Throughout the course of this show, we've done things. And by the way, you should go back on the channel, check everything out, look at Zach's channel because 42 really good episodes that talk about debt, appraisals, things like the Fed rate that we talked about last week. We talk about math, discount points, mortgage math, all those things. Like there's a ton in there. So today we've kind of gone back to what are some of the things that people don't realize and they get blindsided by. And we bring this up because I just recently bought a house almost a month ago. I moved to a new house. And so Zach has done a fantastic freaking job. Like, really, you should go to Zach's channels up here, Zach Jones Loans, check him out. He does reels all the time, and he uses a lot of these scams that come in the mail and educates people on them. So, Zach, I actually have examples because I'm being bombarded right
Yeah.
now in the mail. I'm going to pull these up on the screen. People are going to see some of my personal information, which, whatever, I'm not worth anything. You can do it. Steal all my stuff. It's fine. But we're going to bring some of those up. We'll give you real, actual examples of pieces of mail I have received in the last couple of weeks. But Zach, tell us, some of the ones you've done. I know you've done countless reels on these different topics.
Yeah, I think the most common one, Chad, is the solicitation that you get right after you close. That is it's kind of this promotion. Basically what happens is that there are people who are farming all of this information for newly recorded deeds at the county courthouse.
Yep.
And you're going to get bombarded with a ton of junk mail. There's all kinds of home warranties and coupons, and you're the new homeowner, so you're going to get the gutter guard guys and the driveway sealers and the everything that you can imagine that a new homeowner would possibly need. And in the midst of that, well, I usually tell people most of that stuff is trash, but there will be a really good Lowe's coupon coming for 20% off. So that's about the best piece of junk mail that you'll get. And you won't ever see 20% off otherwise at Lowe's unless you're a vet. So take it from that's a little tip from the coupon guy. So, but in the midst of all that, there will be a very official looking notice that says that you need a copy of your recorded deed, and it's imperative that you have this for your records. You must have it in order to be protected and live a long and healthy life. And it's going to cost you $89 or $113 or whatever.
Yep.
Remit your payment now, and we'll send you a copy immediately. What most people don't realize is that that's coming in the mail from the title company in most situations. And if it doesn't, you can petition the county courthouse, or the Register of Deeds is officially the person who does this, and potentially for free. But at the worst case, the price of copies, you'll get a copy of that for yourself if you want it. Now, and I'm not going to tell you how how old I am, but I've owned property for 40 years, and that tells you how old I am because I bought at 20. I've never actually needed a copy of the deed for any purpose whatsoever, ever. And I still have closing packages from my first house in my filing cabinet in the closet. So
yeah, I do too. I'm a hoarder. You don't need it. Everything's available online these days. 40 years ago, no, but today you can all
pretty
grab
absurd.
it.
I've got an old appraisal from that first house with the pictures that are glued into the appraisal. It's crazy.
Dude, that is fantastic. You need to share those sometime.
They're in the archives. They're in the archives. I have shared screenshots of my first mortgage note and the APR and the mortgage rate. It was 11.75 or 12.75 or something, and that was a bargain. Boy, that was a good rate back then.
I'd love to see a 1984 appraisal.
Okay, I'll send you. I'll send you some screenshots.
That's
Pretty
kind of
cool.
interesting, yeah, because I only hear the stories. It I know you guys aren't in the business, you guys being those maybe watching this, but or you may not be in the business. But yeah, I never experienced this, but I hear the stories of the carbon paper and then
Yep.
having to fill out applications and do things, and then you send that off and you overnight and you FedEx or you fax or you do all these different things to get the file to the underwriter.
Yep.
Back then, I mean, you tell me what was normal? 45-day closing because you're accounting for transit time and things like that, or
Well, it's interesting because I started the business as a broker, and we had really local shops. At least here in Nashville, we had a great big countrywide office in Brentwood, and so we were literally there was somebody making a run to Brentwood every single day
okay.
with a box of files, and it's kind of interesting because you had to stack them in a certain way. They had a stacking order, and you had the
Yep.
right and the left hand side, and you did they would dock you points if it wasn't stacked correctly. But boy, they would fast track it if you were, if you came from, whatever the company was, like, oh, well, I'm going to grab. I worked for a company called Key Financial, and ours were always in pretty high demand because we had this amazing office girl who stacked everything up. But that's a little off topic.
Oh, that's interesting though.
Yeah.
Some of the ins and outs. Maybe we do a show on the previous mortgage industry
Yeah, the good old
from years
days, right?
ago.
The
Yeah.
cowboy days.
Yeah, the Wild West, as they call it. All right, let's share some information here. Like I said, I don't really mind. It's mail. You could steal my mail and figure out who I am. So, this is something that comes in the mail, and I got my loan from the loan store. So let me drop the banner, add this. So notice here, top left corner. Okay, final notice.
Oh,
I haven't been in the house 2 weeks and I'm getting a final notice. What in the world could I have done wrong
that sounds really
in 2
urgent,
weeks?
Chad. You better open immediately.
It's unbelievably important. So, and this is the part where they always get people because we'll get calls. I know I do. I know Zach does. We get calls and people say, final notice. I just got something from your mortgage company. No, you didn't. You really didn't. It says RE loan store. Okay. And so if you move to, I've got an upset puppy. If you move to the next one, this is what's on the inside: Williamson County, loan amount, loan store, my name, etc. The whole thing, right? And it says you've got to call immediately. Immediately, you have to call in.
Immediate
And
attention required.
yeah, I mean, this is crisis
Yeah.
center type stuff, guys. I
Yeah.
will go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. I did not call. All right. I did not make the phone call. But
You're a risk taker, man.
I
I don't
am.
know how
I'm
you sleep at night.
brave soul. Brave soul. So and honest to God, and they give you an ID here, which means nothing, but it looks official. You see the ID there in the right hand side of the page. Now, who knows what this is for? This could be for a home warranty. In fact, I didn't even read the very bottom. What does this say that it's for? The fine print. If you read the fine print, they actually tell on themselves, which is what they're supposed
Right.
to do. The Mortgage Service Center is not affiliated with or sponsored by any banks or lending institutions. Mortgage information obtained through public records. By calling this number, you authorize to be contacted by a licensed insurance underwriter. So they're wanting to sell me insurance of some sort. This is probably if I die, they're trying to sell you insurance so that if you die, the mortgage is paid off and your spouse isn't stuck
The
with the
the
bill.
mortgage protection insurance, which is also known as term life, right?
Yeah, correct, correct. So it's just fancier way of doing things. This is another one here, and I know that one's a little hard to read, but it's kind of upside down. You can see where it says home warranty. Come here, lady. Where it says
Another
home
final
warranty.
notice.
And it's a lot of final notices, Zach. I'm in big trouble. And then this is what's on the inside. They kind of break it down: contact number, immediate response required, Zach. An immediate response, not a response tomorrow, but an immediate response. Customer ID tells you
Yep.
everything. And then, in the fine print, it tells you this is an advertisement. So, this is the kind of stuff that you see all the time whenever you buy a house. I also had this when we opened a new business because you get all these, oh, you must hang this poster, you must have this to meet compliance. federal
Right.
guidelines require. And when you do those kinds of things, or when you get those kinds of things, you freak out, and they're selling you fear, is what they're selling you.
Yeah.
And then you get tied up, you get on the phone, and then you can't get them off the phone. And then the worst case is the calls never stop, because then that data starts getting sold and
Right.
sold and put in a dialer and another dialer. What are some other ones that you've maybe seen aside from these? Are two examples. I have many more. I just didn't take the time to scan them all. But what
Yeah.
else have you seen on some of these?
Well, the most I did a reel just a minute ago, maybe a couple of days ago, about that same kind of registered deed. A friend of mine sent me a notice that he got, but it was 2 years post closing. So that's a new twist on the old scam, right? Because usually you're getting this right after closing, and there's you're getting hit with all of these things about the closing, and you feel like you need to attend to all that stuff to get yourself settled in the house. But he got this one 2 years post closing. Interesting spin. You know, I don't know. I haven't dug into this one. You may have some insight about it, but I hear it advertised on the radio. Is that the title protection insurance, or whatever they're calling it, where people are alleged to be going in and assuming ownership on title without an owner's being aware of it. I mean, I don't even know how that works, but there's a lot of podcasters who are selling this now, and a lot of radio personalities who are kind of talk radio personalities who are selling it. I don't know how somebody could abscond with the ownership of your home without committing some sort of fraud or forgery of documents. I assume there's a quit claim deed involved or something. So that's one that maybe deserves some more attention. I don't hear clients talk about it. I just hear it advertised.
Yeah, I haven't run into the title one. Um, but you and I are to the point where we know to basically just kind of chuck it. So unless somebody
Right.
specifically brings me something, a lot of times it's just chucking stuff. But it really, the biggest thing is that to make people aware of all these, scams and advertisements and promotions is this is the same thing they do with interest rates. Okay. So when you hear, for example, last week when the Fed cut the rate, I would bet dollars to dimes that over the next 90 days, you all are going to get pieces of mail that come in the form of what looks like maybe a postcard size, or maybe it's an envelope and the same kind of thing. Urgent, final notice, we're about to close your account. That's a
Mhm.
crazy one that we hear.
Right.
Hey, I just wanted to reach out to you one more time before we canceled out your file. There is no file. They're, they're just trying to grab you, get you on the phone, get you to respond. And I, my original point, I guarantee you, with what rates are expected to do, which is slowly decline, there's not going to be some cliff that they fall off of that
Right.
anybody is alluding to. The Feds may cut some more rates. Who knows? We'll see. But as that happens, it's going to stir up some activity with companies like these who are trying to reach out for mailers. And they're going to try to get you on the hook for anything. And they're going to use rates. They don't even have to be in the mortgage industry. They're just going to get you on the hook to
Right.
use the interest rate to get you to call them. Say, "Yeah, call now about our low rates." The low rates could be referencing insurance, but
Right.
in your mind, you just keep hearing rates on social media, news outlets, and so forth, that's all you really think about. But I guarantee you, you're going to start getting things where it also says, like, contact us immediately about your mortgage rate, RE, and whatever mortgage company. So, for example, if you make payments to Mr. Cooper, it's not Mr. Cooper who's reaching out to you. It's a mortgage company who's saying, call us about your loan with Mr. Cooper. You think it's Mr. Cooper. It's not. And they're trying to get you on the
Right.
hook and get you to call in and all these different things. And it makes, the response rate, it's all a formula. If you call, there's a certain percentage of you that will get converted into a loan and into a funding and into business for these companies. So that's all they're trying to do, is get you there. And not to get too far, because this could be an entire episode, But when you're looking at refinancing, or when you're looking at some of these promotional rates that are out there, let me just give you the quick 30 seconds here. If you see a rate on an advertisement or something on an envelope that comes in the mail that seems too good to be true, it is. It
Yep.
just simply is. If Zach and I are out here quoting, and this is by no means me giving you a quote, but if today's rate is 5.9% and somebody else is claiming to have 4.9, there's a catch. There's just simply
Yep.
a catch. And it's either they're lying or they're assuming, and then they're going to charge you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to buy down that rate through discount points. So just keep all that in mind. I really thought this was a good episode to, kind of dive in and say, look, these are actual pieces of mail. I'm in the industry. I just moved. This is what's in the mail. This is what I'm getting. And you have to be alert and be aware of it. Otherwise, you can fall victim to it.
Yep. Yep. And you'll see, I mean, it comes in a ton of different packages. Just talking about rates real quick, you'll see, I think that veterans are especially vulnerable to the chop shops who are churning loans for the VA interest rate reduction refinance loan. They know exactly what your interest rate is. And so depends on how good the list is and how expensive it is. But they know that if you close within a certain window, you're going to be on the higher end of the spectrum because market rates were in the higher spectrum at that point. So you got to be careful about that, man. These guys, these bottom feeders, Chad, that they'll text clients that we've worked with, and they'll identify themselves as, hey, my name's Barry and I work with Zach Jones and we were reviewing your file. I'm on his team and he wanted to reach out and make sure that you were aware that you can do a no cost refinance. Just bounce back and let us know and we'll activate the refinance process. And I don't have a Barry that works for me, and we don't have a no cost refinance. He's just fishing, and he got a telephone number and is on this automated text dialer, and he's sending 10,000 of those out a day. So not unlike, it goes back, Chad, golly, the world that we live in is so full of bad information, attempts to skim things off the top. People are trying to rip you off. And I think that much of the scams in our industry rely on just getting somebody on the phone, talking to a fast talking salesman that is pitching a bunch of stuff and talking real fast. And they'll even take a loan all the way into, a week or 10 days before closing and then switch things up. And if it fails, it fails. They just move on to the next one because they're not people with principle. They're not people with integrity. And they're just working numbers. It's literally a sweatshop factory call center mentality. So again, I mean, we keep coming back to it. The message in lending, like anything, I think in financial services, is you got to get connected with people that are trustworthy and that have integrity and that do business with your best interest at heart, so that you can siphon these things out and learn what you can and can't trust. It really is. I mean, our whole existence now is coming down to this highly refined skill of who can you trust and who can't you trust, because it's literally everywhere.
I know it's easy to say, but no matter what, you will always find someone with a lower mortgage rate. It just is true. You're always going to find somebody who got a better deal than you, whether it's an automobile, a car rate, a certificate of deposit rate at a bank, a mortgage rate. Somebody sold a stock at a better time. Somebody bought a stock at a better time.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody who beat you. And that's what Zach is saying. The key here is don't fall victim to these scams. You got to have people you trust. You got to have people that can follow through with you. And it's whatever peace of mind is worth. I guess that's how I always say it. What is peace of mind worth? You fall into the bait shop and somebody offers you something, but the whole time, even in the back of your head, you're probably thinking, man, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to work out? So those kinds of things. And it is crazy that in today's world, these companies, they prey on people's subconscious greed, and they prey on people who just simply, because I talk about it all the time, they don't know the ins and outs of mortgage and real estate for the most
Right.
part. And so they prey on that. And that's not honestly your fault. I think it's society's fault. I'll always say that until they fix it and start teaching it in schools, that you don't know what you don't know. And these sophisticated companies who, again, have the sweatshop, the call center, and so forth, they're set up and designed to simply come in. If you've ever not seen The Wolf of Wall Street, go watch that, or Boiler
Perfect.
Room.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street and Boiler
Perfect.
Room. Go watch those two movies. They're great movies. Go watch those two movies, and you will understand the people who are actually on the other end of that phone more times than not, and these companies who are sending these things out, trying to get you to answer, respond in their database, so forth. All right.
And they're looking for the shopper. They're looking for
Oh,
the
yeah.
shopper. You remember, I mean, those phone calls, it's like looking for the guy who's got $6,000 that he doesn't really know where to invest. He's a goner. There's no way that he is not going to be victim to these professional swindlers. There's no way that he's going to survive that.
That's right.
It's like
100%.
lambs to the slaughter. Well,
It
what's
really
your rate?
is.
Yeah, well, what it's
Really.
whatever you want your rate to be.
Yeah, I'm just the order taker, man. You get to choose.
That's right. That's right.
It's so good. All right, that'll do it for us. Check us out up here: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. His is Zach Jones Loans. Mine is Mortgage Dad Chad. Yeah, that side. We appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, download all those things. It'll let you know when we drop a new content, show, so forth. Zach does fantastic job. TikTok also, which I didn't put up there, but TikTok and Instagram and Facebook with his reels. And just follow us along for more posts, content, etc. And we just try to get your brain thinking a little bit. Appreciate all the DMs, the feedback, your text messages and phone calls. Actually are cool. They make us feel like this is worth doing, even though we enjoy it. The good feedback is always nice. So until next week, have a great one, and we'll see you to wrap up September, begin October on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for joining us.